Okay guys, this is part 2 of our 4-part series of going over the top 4 questions that you need to ask yourself before and provide solutions to when you're starting a cash-based physical therapy practice. So your first one, as you can see on the board behind here, is what is an estimated amount of revenue that you should get in your first year, and what are some examples of sales that you need to reach to be able to attain that revenue goal. This video is number 2, and this question is going to be, how much is it going to cost to be able to get these revenue goals, okay? Yes, you're gonna have expenses. Your time is money. You're gonna have to pay for some marketing starting out. It's gonna cost some money to be able to produce these sales that we went over in step 1. So, again, based off of what I did in my first year, okay? Let's use an example of my rent was super cheap. I was able to lease one room starting out. My rent was $500, and I negotiated with them to actually only increase it up to like $650. So I was blessed that I was able to have that opportunity in my first year. But let's say your rent is around $500 to $1,000, okay? And to pay the bills, you have $250, and then maybe later on you have some marketing money that goes towards certain things. And so let's say if you do this right, can you run your clinic at $2,000 or less of monthly expenses, okay? So I would say up until that first point, maybe, so here is your monthly revenue. If you haven't watched the first video yet, this is your monthly revenue getting up to $70,000 of revenue per year. This is evals, individual sessions and treatments for patients. These are example sales here, okay? Next, okay, let's go over expenses. So you have this green line, let's go over expenses. So it's gonna be $2,000 a month to run this. Okay, let's say for the first half of the year. Okay, so you can clearly see that if you need $2,500 in sales, you're only going to have $500 here, $500 here. But as your sales increase, you'll have a lot more left over here. So now you have $3,000 here. Okay. So your expenses for your first 6 months are going to be really low, and that's one of the most important things that I want to get to you guys is keep your overhead low whenever you're starting out. I love the Mark Cuban approach with this. You need to keep your overhead low, start grinding, make it work, treat patients and getting them better. But you have to keep your overhead low. One of the biggest problems here is this number is way too high in standard clinics and in cash-based clinics, that their overhead is so high that they're never going to be able to pay themselves a lot of money or make any profit at the end. So let's just say we're keeping our overhead low, we're making things happen, you already bought your equipment, you already got your stuff. Let's see if you can run your clinic expenses wise, not including your salary, at $2,000 or less, okay? But you can see here that by June, if you're reaching 7,500 in sales, that you have $5,000 of money there, okay? So you could see the first couple months, you may not even pay yourself a salary, which is perfectly fine. That's where you have to work on your startup capital or having a fund separate before you open a cash-based clinic that you could pay your personal bills with. But the first couple months, you may not pay yourself a salary at all, okay? But now when your sales start to increase, now after your expenses are done, you have some money here where you could start paying yourself, okay? But let's go over this stuff now. Let's say our expenses start to increase, okay? You're gonna end up spending some more money on marketing, maybe buying some new equipment. Just say maybe they start bumping rent up on you. There's a whole list of expenses. Maybe you give back to charity, maybe you pay your APTA dues, your liability insurance, all this stuff starts kicking in a little bit. This is before the IRS starts to get a handle on it anyway too. But let's just say you reinvest a little bit, you buy some more equipment, and say your rent is $3,000, or your expenses are gonna be $3,000 here. So here you'll have 4,500, and then 10. So now you're making $7,000 there. So you can go through here, you can do the math eventually, but you'll see that your expense is here. It'll be deducted off of that, and then at this point here you'll be able to start paying yourself a salary, and that's going into one of the other videos. But how much is it going to cost you? The main point is keep your overhead low, don't overspend, keep it down at first, because this is why you want to be able to start paying yourself some money and making things work. So keep your overhead low, keep your expenses down, and when you start generating some more revenue, you can start spending more money with profit, buying some more equipment or spending it on marketing. But the cost to be able to run your business in the first year should be fairly low. Okay, so if we add out 6 times 2, that's 12, and then 6 times 3 is 18, so that's 30. Yeah. 6, 18. So you have $30,000 of expenses here. Left over 40,000. You are good to go right there. And that's an example of how much is it going to cost you to be able to get those revenue goals and to make your business work. So stay tuned to video number 3, and I'll talk to you soon.